The old Angel Reese just got away with a good old shove to the face of Kikiri fan.
Marina Marbury shoves Caitlin Clark to the ground after she's slashed in the eye by one player, rushed by another. Like, I can clearly see why some of y'all teams in the WNBA are just not successful, bro. Like, y'all don't know how to act. We just gonna call it for what it is.
Welcome to the WNBA, where the rule book is apparently written in invisible ink. Angel Reese throws hands, Marina Mabrey delivers a shove, and refs sip tea like nothing happened. But Sophie Cunningham? She breathes near someone. Boom. Ejected like she brought a grenade to shoot around. What is happening? Is this a sports or improv night with whistles? Stick around, because this episode of Ref Roulette is wilder than a soap opera in sneakers. And trust us, it only gets messier from here.
A minute left, and all hell broke loose between J.C. Sheldon and Sophie Cunningham, and it is very clear the Indiana Fever, some of these girls on this team are finally fed up. Finally fed up. Once again, WNBA, we're not talking about your basketball. We're talking about the WNBA WWE Raw circus that you got going on right now, and we all know this incident with Sophie stems from the incident that was clearly not handled correctly by the WNBA.
And then came the slap. No, not the Oscar night sequel. This was pure courtside chaos starring Angel Reese in what looked suspiciously like a WWE audition. One open hand face tap, mid-smay, on live television with fans gasping and popcorn flying. You'd think the refs would at least raise an eyebrow. Nope. Crickets, tumbleweed, a shrug and a whistle blown for something entirely unrelated. Probably a shoelace violation.
And we are going through this with Angel Reese again? Another instance where Angel Reese shows a complete lack of self-control. Another instance where Angel Reese loses her temper. What is this? The second time this week this has happened? At least in the first instance, Angel Reese was somewhat justified in her reaction. Some anonymous player was pulling on her hair, which can be a very scary situation for some players in the WNBA.
The audience watched, stunned, waiting for a technical, a flagrant, a memo from the league. But no. Apparently, if you do it with enough flair and post a selfie afterward, it's just passion. Meanwhile, back in a different game, and on a completely different wavelength of justice, Sophie Cunningham barely flexes a defensive stance, and next thing you know, she's being escorted off the court, like she tried to start a bonfire with the playbook. What did she do? Breathe? Exist too competitively? Maybe her ponytail offended someone's aura.
Cunningham. At the end of the game, J.C. Sheldon is going for a fast break layup and Sophie Cunningham is running with her. And I remember in my head, like, it happened in a split second, and I said, oh, let's see. Let's see what happens here. Sophie commits a hard foul on J.C. Sheldon. Again, as J.C. Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe.
Either way, she was ejected faster than a toddler from a no-kids wedding. Make it make sense, because so far the WNBA officiating logic feels like it's being run by a magic 8-ball with a caffeine problem. Should we call that slap? Signs point to no. Should we eject Sophie for blinking aggressively? Absolutely yes. The discrepancy isn't just glaring, it's disco ball in the sun, blinding. Angel Reese delivers a literal slap that echoed through the arena like a scene out of a soap opera, and everyone collectively decides it's just competitive spirit.
I felt like Sophie might have wanted a piece of JC after the Caitlin Clark and JC kind of scuffle going on, right? Then this happened, okay? The fast break, you see Sheldon taking it. After getting a steal, Sophie wraps her arms around her. Now, this is normal, okay? In my opinion, this is normal. This is a hard foul. She just didn't want her to get a shot up on the fast break, send her to the line. She's just grabbing.
But Sophie, oh, she showed too much hustle. And for that, she's launched into orbit. It's like watching a game of chess where one player's knight gets arrested for jaywalking and the other one's queen is allowed to dual-wield nunchucks. And let's not pretend this was some discreet blink-and-you-miss-it incident. No, the cameras caught every angle. The slow-motion replay made it look like a training video on how not to behave on the court. Social media blew up. Analysts had meltdowns, commentators fumbled for excuses like they were suddenly allergic to objectivity. But still, no tech, no foul, no nothing, just a high five from the inconsistency committee. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham plays like a woman possessed, fired up, locked in, defending like the Rents do at halftime, and she's treated like she rolled in wearing brass knuckles. It's as if someone decided that defending Caitlin Clark automatically triggers the too much intensity alarm. Heaven forbid anyone show up ready to protect the league's most talked about rookie with something other than passive claps and well wishes. It's not just unfair, it's laughably theatrical.
So I think the officiating towards this one team definitely is going to have to be very closely monitored and made sure that it is called as fairly as possible. Because I think that last night, a lot happened. There were 6 technical fouls issued, there were 3 ejections, and there were 2 flagrant fouls. For one game, that is bananas. A lot of it is centered around the last 46 seconds where Sophie Cunningham hard fouls JC Sheldon. She gets ejected, JC gets ejected, does Lindsay? I think Lindsay gets ejected. And in watching the broadcast, even the broadcasters at the time mentioned if they would have just ejected Marina Mabrey, this probably wouldn't have happened.
Even Marina Mabrey shoved Caitlin Clark in a different game like she was trying to make room in a crowded elevator. And again, silence. The refs must have been on a union-mandated coffee break because the level of apathy was almost impressive. Clark hits the floor and the officials, they practically toss her a complimentary throw pillow on the way down. But Sophie Cunningham shows loyalty, speaks out, and plays like someone who knows the value of team over trends. And she's punished for it. There's no hiding the pattern anymore. Defend Caitlin Clark? Prepare for an officiating microscope. Oppose her? Enjoy your immunity badge and complimentary backstage pass to the next foul-free shoving session. It's like watching a toddler's tea party, where one kid's allowed to throw cups, flip the table, and scream at the cookies while another gets time out for using the wrong napkin. The energy is chaotic. The double standards? Olympic level. What exactly is the criteria now? Is there a secret referee checklist that reads, slap opponent's face if you're trending on TikTok? The league says it wants emotion, wants fire, wants storylines. But apparently that only applies if the drama fits a pre-approved narrative. The minute a player like Sophie steps up, fights for her teammates, and refuses to let antics slide, she's treated like she just tried to set the mascot on fire.
Why did Caitlin Clark get a technical foul? After the foul, she reacted in an unsportsmanlike manner. So, she got clawed in the eye, then got belly bumped, and then kind of tried to get away from somebody after belly bumping her, and then walked around holding her eye, and then got blindsided onto the ground. While holding one of her eyes, she gets hit on this side onto the ground, into the referee. That is responding in an unsportsmanlike manner. What is she meant to do?
Let's be honest. There's a reason people are side-eyeing these games more than ever. It's not just about missed calls. It's about mysteriously selective calls, slaps that vanish into thin air, shoves that get filed under oopsie. But any energy that even remotely resembles having Caitlin Clark's back, red flag. Eject. Out you go. And the fans, they're not blind. They see what's happening. The highlight reels are dissected more than medical textbooks, and everyone's starting to notice the patterns. You don't need a PhD in basketballology to realize something's off when one player physically strikes another and gets nothing, while another gets tossed like she snuck in without credentials. And while we're here, let's not forget how the post-game narratives magically shift too. Suddenly, a slap is a miscommunication, a shove is just competitive energy. But Sophie? She's labeled everything from over-aggressive to unnecessarily intense, all for doing her job, protecting a teammate, standing her ground. Actual basketball stuff. It's getting harder and harder to explain to new fans why some players are judged with a ruler and others with a wrecking ball. Angel Reese literally made contact with someone's face. That's not a metaphor. That happened. Marina's shove wasn't a love tap. It was a guided tour of the floor.
Fever and Sun hold a brawl and a basketball game breaks out. This was something. Caitlin Clark, without question, gets raked across the face. I think she gets poked in the eye, but it's difficult to tell.
If you're the Indiana Fever, you cannot stand by and let that happen. They need to make it clear to the officials. If you're going to let this happen, then we're going to stand up for our player and make a mess of the game, and you're going to have a big mess on your hands. So you need to stand up for this. You need to do something about this.
You've just learned with definitive data and beyond question that Caitlin Clark controls more than half the audience for the...
And both barely raised a referee's pulse, but Sophie, she radiates too much "don't mess with my team" energy and gets banished like she cursed someone's sneakers. It's not justice, it's improvisation, and bad improvisation at that. At this point, even the ball is confused. You can almost hear it saying, "Wait, wasn't that a foul? No? Oh, we're just vibing now, cool." What this all adds up to is an unspoken but glaring truth. Consistency isn't part of the WNBA's officiating toolkit lately. It's vibes-based refereeing, spiritual foul detection, who looked the most confident, who got the best camera angle, who's marketable today. And that's not just a bad look, it's a terrible strategy, because when fans start noticing patterns that don't add up, they lose trust in the game. They don't want to watch the Hunger Games basketball edition. They want real competition, fair calls, and accountability that doesn't change with the wind or the social media engagement numbers. So until the league decides to apply rules with even a sliver of consistency, players like Sophie Cunningham will keep paying the price for playing the game the right way. Meanwhile, slaps, shoves, and reality TV waddy antics will skate by under the banner of intensity. But sure, Sophie got ejected because reasons. Just don't ask what those reasons are. The league's still waiting for the next Magic 8-Ball response.
Came to blows, okay? It was a lot going on. The Indiana Fever was able to defeat them in that game, but Sophie Cunningham said that she has gone too far. This is not the first time that people have accused Sophie Cunningham of just, doing way too much, being too physical, almost being an aggressive bully in the WNBA. And people are now calling for Caitlin Clark, as well as Sophie Cunningham, as well as Marina Mabry, and as well as JC Sheldon to get flagrant 1 fouls. Now, I'm going to tell you in this article what exactly the WNBA is going to do to all the ladies above.
And the circus rolls on, with Angel Reese practically handed the keys to the WNBA's Chaos Mobile, while the Indiana Fever get treated like unpaid extras in their own game. It's not even subtle anymore. Angel could probably set up a lawn chair midcourt, sip an iced latte, and swat a ball out of someone's hands just for laughs, and the refs would call a foul. On Caitlin Clark for disrupting Angel's relaxation space. Meanwhile, the Fever can't so much as sneeze without triggering a full-blown officiating emergency. The whistle-happy refs seem to have a special vendetta against Indiana. Like someone forgot to pay their dues to the basketball gods and now it's open season. You'd think they stole the league's lunch money or broke into a referee meeting and insulted everyone's shoelaces. One player barely touches someone, it's a foul. Another contests a shot, technical. Blink twice in the paint, go sit down. Angel Reese swings her arms with Olympic-level dramatics, and the refs seem more concerned with if she's moisturized than if she's playing by the rules. And it just keeps snowballing. Indiana could be up by 2 with the momentum fully swinging in their favor. Then boom, some phantom call drops out of nowhere like it's being ordered via DoorDash. The refs don't even flinch. They stare down the Fever bench like, yes, we really called a travel on a pivot foot that never moved, and yes, we're proud of it.
Sheldon belly bumps her and Caitlin pushes her off. And then Marina Mabry just shoves her into the referee onto the ground. And this is what the referee said happened. Why was JC Sheldon's foul upgraded to flagrant 1? In the judgment of the officials, the foul by Sheldon was unnecessary. The contact to Clark's face. Furthermore, there was a wind-up and impact, and the contact to face carries potential for injury. How did you come to the conclusion that that is a flagrant 1? How did you come up to the conclusion that it was unnecessary? There was a wind-up, and it was to the face.
Then, there's Sophie Cunningham. The only person on the court acting like this is still a team sport and not a TikTok showcase. Protect the most fouled, most targeted rookie in the league? Oh no, we can't have that. Suddenly it's too much aggression, too much emotion, too much backbone. The refs stare her down like she just elbow dropped the Statue of Liberty. It's unreal. Angel Reese can flail, bark, throw her arms around like she's conducting a halftime marching band, and it's all somehow interpreted as enthusiasm. The woman looked like she was witnessing someone pour ketchup on spaghetti. She stood there, frozen, in that beautiful place between disbelief and rage. Not loud, not theatrical, just pure internalized fury, the kind that says, I want to flip this clipboard into another dimension, but I'm trying very hard to keep my job.
You know when Finn Balor puts on the demon outfit and he becomes the demon? He's no longer Finn Balor. We have now seen what I will refer to as the demon.
You could see it on her face. The telepathic thoughts racing through her brain probably included at least 5 different ways to smuggle sense into the officiating crew. She didn't need to scream. She didn't need to call a ref out by name. Her whole being said, this is nonsense, and everyone in this arena with a functioning set of eyes knows it. There are still fingerprints from that slap etched on someone's cheekbone. Still, she walked off without even a timeout. But Sophie? She shows up with defense, loyalty, and fire, and gets escorted out like she tried to unplug the scoreboard. It's like someone at HQ rolled out a new rule book that only applies to Indiana. Or worse, applies selectively, depending on what jersey you're wearing and how many followers you've gained this week. Forget double standards. This is deluxe, VIP, gold tier hypocrisy. Angel can stomp, swing, stare down a ref like she's plotting their demise, and somehow it's labeled as confidence. But if a Fever player adjusts their stance? Unsportsmanlike. Over the line. Let's go ahead and review that. Forever.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000% did what was deserved to JC Sheldon. And the commentators are on the money. They're on the money. Like, someone's commented there, I feel like Sophie Cunningham is the only one who would have done something back if she was on the floor. Sophie Cunningham got her. Sophie Cunningham got her. And I mean this when I say this. This would have been a flagrant 2, except for the fact that they allowed Marina Mabry did what she did. This possibly should be a flagrant 2. She got her around the neck. And then JC Sheldon gets up. And then Sophie immediately goes at JC Sheldon. Grabs her. Like, I'm okay with this being a flagrant.
And Caitlyn? Let's not forget she's the central gravity, pulling all of this chaos into orbit. Every move she makes is scrutinized, challenged, and downright harassed. And the only consistent help she gets is from Sophie Cunningham, a player who clearly didn't get the memo that being a good teammate is now punishable by exile. The irony here is delicious. Because the league wants rivalries, right? Wants drama, wants edge, wants people talking. Unless you love plot holes and referees who officiate based on lunar cycles, and let's not pretend fans haven't noticed. They've got screenshots, slow-mos, Zapruder-level footage of every slap, shove, smirk, and spin move, and they're putting together highlight reels that look less like basketball and more like crime scene investigations. Here's where Angel made contact. Here's where Caitlyn hit the deck. Here's where Sophie tried to help and somehow got charged with attempted good sportsmanship. The inconsistency is so blatant, it's become performance art. Every Indiana Fever game now doubles as a lesson in how not to officiate a professional sport. You've got refs out here making calls with the emotional precision of someone scrolling through Facebook at a family reunion, distracted, confused, and vaguely annoyed by everything.
Caitlin Clark, and I put this analogy in there. She's a player that you have to guard 94 feet. She can shoot. There's no question. Probably one of the best girls shooters I've seen in a minute. But what else can she do? Think about it. You know, and I'm trying to get you guys to understand this. Her passing capability of averaging nine assists per game. She's capable of doing that because the game is stretched so far for her. It's wide open. It has to be. You have to play. America. You have to play up. I've never seen anything like it. She creates.
Meanwhile, Angel's camp is out here dancing in the fog of consequence-free chaos because why not? If every aggressive outburst, every flailing motion, every accidental slap gets chalked up to intensity, there's no reason to stop. Why play clean when playing chaotic gets you headlines and protection? At this point, she could juggle opponents mid-smay and the refs would call it creative ball movement. And Stephanie White, again, deserves an award for not combusting on the sideline. So here we are, still asking the same question. How is Angel Reese allowed to do literally whatever while Indiana gets sent to basketball detention for existing? Why is the player defending her teammate the only one punished, while the player dishing out physical fouls walks off like she just dropped 40 points and cured world hunger? Because right now, the only thing being consistently enforced is inconsistency itself. The refs aren't even pretending to balance the scales. They've tilted the entire table, and the Fever are just trying to dribble while gravity works against them. And the funniest, most infuriating part, the league probably thinks this is fine. But eyes come with judgment, with scrutiny, with fans who rewind, replay, and remember. And the way things are going, it's not Indiana that's going to be remembered for breaking down.